Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. You know, Saturday's important days in Alabama because this is college football season, and we are very much interested, and we are a college football state. So most Alabamians, or many Alabamians, are focused on their favorite teams today. And while we know that football is important and we wish our teams well, today our focus must shift, and it must be on the weather and our condition as we get prepared for this hurricane that's coming our way. Earlier today, I signed a request for a presidential emergency declaration. This will be sure that federal assistance is available to us for emergency response. I have again been in contact with FEMA Director Brock Long and the White House, and they've assured me that the federal government will give us every assistance possible. We also remain very much in constant contact and communication with our local officials, both elected and EMA and law enforcement in our coastal counties. And now we expect that Nate will make landfall around midnight somewhere along the Alabama-Mississippi line as a Category 2 hurricane. Areas along this coast area are likely to already start feeling the effects of the storm, but our team is in place and ready to provide whatever assistance is needed. Many of our inland counties also under storm watch warnings or watches and flash flood watches. This threat is for real in Alabama. We expect a landfall near the Alabama-Mississippi line with the heaviest impacts along US 90's Causeway, Dauphin Island, Fort Morgan, Biola Battery, Orange Beach, and Gulf Shores. Inland areas will also be impacted with heavy winds and rain. This morning I ordered the Emergency Operations Center at EMA to a level 1 beginning at noon today. Alabamians must remain vigilant and ready to withstand whatever comes. So before the storm arrives, please secure your outdoor belongings, and those near the coast or in low-lying areas should plan to go to higher ground and do it immediately. It's imperative that you decide now how and what you're going to do as you respond to this storm. Whatever preparations you are making, let me encourage you to do it now and finish before sundown tonight. After sundown, the conditions along our coast and in some inland areas will simply be too volatile for anyone to be moving about. Officials in Mobile and Baldwin counties have opened shelters for those evacuating their homes, and a list of these can be found on the Governor's Office website. That is the official website is governor.alabama.gov/Nate. That's governor.alabama.gov/Nate. Once the storm makes landfall, conditions will be such that first responders will not be able to answer calls for help until it becomes safe to do so. So that means if you are put in harm's way after the storm hits, we won't be able to get help to you. So please, it's very important that you decide what you're going to do, where you're going to go, and that you do these things immediately. With Hurricane Nate, we see strong storm surges and heavy rains, and there's a high probability of tornadoes and wind damage. And these wind damage, they're going to be high winds throughout our state and not just on the coast. This means we'll likely have power outages, and while we've got our business partners in place putting resources ready to restore power, we don't know how long that will take. So if you are electricity dependent, that means you need access to electricity to sustain life support efforts, then please contact your local EMA office now. It's important that they know that you are electricity dependent. Make sure your emergency kit is stocked and ready for several days. Included for sure, have your food and water, your medications, batteries, and in this age of technology, let me encourage all of you to be sure that your cell phones are fully powered so that you can stay in touch and keep up with what's going on. I have instructed local officials to make whatever decisions are needed to save and protect life. So y'all heed their warnings and do what they say when they say it. We must take this threat seriously. The state is ready to help our local partners, and we are beginning to move these resources into the planning stage. We are pre-positioning our people and resources, and the National Guard is standing by to help as well. My friends, storms like this are unpredictable. But at this stage, it is fairly certain that Alabama will face the brunt of this storm. We cannot control this storm, but we can control how we prepare. Soon, Hurricane Nate, Category 2, will be impacting Alabama. And once it does, we're ready to respond and be here to meet the needs of our people. Alabamians are resilient, you're determined, and when we're prepared, we can face whatever comes our way. So I want to say for sure, take action now, and may God continue to bless each of you, your families, the great state of Alabama, all of those who are in storm's way, and those who stand to serve in response. So now I'll turn the podium over to the meteorologist, Jim Stepkovich. Jim?
Thank you, Governor. So as the governor mentioned, Nate will become a Category 2 hurricane, making landfall shortly around or after midnight tonight, with sustained winds of 100 miles an hour and gusts to 115 miles an hour. The earliest arrival time for these strong winds along the coast of tropical storm force winds, that's 39 miles an hour or greater, will be after 4 p.m. along the Alabama coast, and more likely around between 6 and 8 p.m. tonight. Because of the swath of damage that's expected, as the governor mentioned, a tropical storm warning is in effect for 37 counties that reaches as far north as Center in Cherokee County. And of course, a hurricane warning is in effect for Mobile, Baldwin, and Washington counties, and a storm surge warning is in effect for Mobile and Baldwin counties. Now, inland, the sustained winds of 30 to 40 miles an hour will occur across much of the state on Sunday in an area roughly between I-2059 and I-85. Maximum gusts as far north as Demopolis and Selma could reach 70 miles an hour, and all the way up into northeast Alabama between 50 and 60 miles an hour. So to put this in perspective, when Hurricane Irma came through the region, it only had gusts barely reaching 40 miles an hour. So this is going to produce dramatic more impacts because Irma downed thousands of trees across the state, and these winds are going to be much stronger in Nate. Storm surge is a big concern along the coast, and that'll likely be 6 to 9 feet and as high as 10 feet along the Mobile Bay region and the Barrier Islands, lasting through Sunday afternoon, and then it'll take a couple days for that water to recede. Rainfall amounts are going to be between 2 and 6 inches, mainly along and southeast of I-2059 corridor, with isolated amounts near 8 inches. And as a result, many areas of the state are under a flash flood watch at this time. And as the governor mentioned, tornadoes are also a possibility, with the southern third of the state impacted today, and then the southern 2/3 of the state on Sunday. If there's any good news with this system, is that it's moving very quickly at over 25 miles an hour. So we expect the impacts to end, the major impacts to end across the state by late Sunday night or by sunrise Monday morning. And with that, I'll turn things over to Director Brian Hastings.
Thank you, Jim. Good afternoon. I'm Brian Hastings, the Alabama Emergency Management Agency Director. The State Emergency Operations Center in Clanton is activated to Level 1, as well as our division offices in Southern Region. This means we will have personnel from several state agencies staffed 24 hours a day until the threat of Hurricane Nate diminishes. This morning, we've held several conferences calls with EMA directors, elected officials in Baldwin and Mobile County, as well as our National Weather Service partners across the state. I cannot stress enough, Hurricane Nate is an Alabama storm. This is our storm, and it's going to affect all of us. It's not a coastal issue. It's not a central issue. It's from one end to the other. And the window for getting prepared is quickly closing. The things that we've done here at EMA and your state partners to prepare is today we had a teleconference to make sure we reached out to our division coordinators, our EMA directors in the counties of Baldwin and Mobile, and also some of the county commissioners to ask them, what do you need? And they responded with, we need some help with human resources, Department of Human Resources, and Red Cross for manning our shelters. In Mobile County, they held an emergency county commissioners conference yesterday at 4 p.m. where they declared a state of emergency for Mobile County, opened 4 shelters with transportation available, and Red Cross and DHR are assisting. We're continuing to message voluntary evacuation, and local officials are messaging voluntary evacuations for the life-threatening storm surge with warnings of inundation, islands surrounded by water, and no power for long periods of time. Mayor Downey declared a state emergency for Bayou La Batre yesterday. Mayor Collier declared a state emergency for Dauphin Island this morning. In Baldwin County, a state of emergency was declared for Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, and the county commissioners just declared a county state of emergency at 1300 and opened the Baldwin County Coliseum Shelter. And we're doing that in coordination with the Department of Human Resources and Red Cross. Traffic on Highway 59 has increased northbound, and the county believes people are heeding the warnings and leaving. Later today, before the storm surge, Fairhope Water will be turned off to preserve their water supply for recovery. Mayor Kraft has directed his local police to go door to door in West Beach to request at-risk residents to evacuate low-lying areas at risk to life-threatening storm surge. Orange County Toll Bridge and the Holmes Bridge will be closed as local conditions worsen. LDOT will speak to some of the roads that they will be closing as conditions worsen. For the Coast Guard, they've deployed their assets to reposition them so that they're safe for the time when it comes time to recover. Mobile ports are now at condition Zulu, which means the channel and the port are locked down. I will let General Gordon talk to the National Guard and their posture, but this morning I had a nice conversation with Alabama Power, Power South, and the local municipal power companies who are monitoring the forecast, and they have been doing so for the last few days. Crews are on alert as far north as our partner states in Kentucky and as far south as Florida. Local crews are pre-staging for recovery. Again, I am encouraging all residents across the state to heed local warnings and follow the direction of local elected officials. You know your counties and your people the best. Yesterday, the FEMA IMAT team arrived, and they are working closely with Alabama EMA staff today. Today, we also held a daily state coordination group call with our disaster response agencies. Again, as we continue to coordinate resources, you need to do the same at home. By now, you should have identified a safe place for you and your family. Double check your emergency preparedness kit. Have a plan to communicate with your family members if you lose power, and have a method to receive the latest weather updates in emergency situation and instructions. For the latest information on Hurricane Nate, please follow at Alabama EMA or online at ema.alabama.gov. If you're looking for information for your county, you can find that under the Contacts tab on the EMA homepage. Now I will turn the podium over to Alabama Adjutant General, Major General Cheryl Gordon.
The Alabama National Guard activated its Emergency Operations Center in Montgomery yesterday with approximately 10 personnel. Currently, we have 60 personnel staged at Fort Whiting in Mobile, Alabama. They are a mix of military police, high water evacuation teams, and what we call retrans teams, which support our communications. We also have 25 soldiers staged in Enterprise to support any needs that might occur in Division B. These are all general purpose troops. If the storm intensifies to a point where we need to call in more troops, we have 5 personnel currently in Mobile at Fort Whiting as part of what is known to us as Task Force Tarpon, who manages all our assets during events like this. We can surge troops as needed. We are prepared to do that. If necessary, for our high water evacuation teams, we can call in route clearance teams to get to those areas where people need rescue. So we are standing by, waiting to see the situation as it develops, and we stand ready to support the state of Alabama in any way that we're needed. And I will be followed now by Hal Taylor with Aaliyah.
Thank you, General. As she said, I'm Hal Taylor, Secretary of the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. Our core mission at Aaliyah is to protect the citizens of the state of Alabama and its visitors. And by saying that, what we have in place is all available troopers working the roadways, mainly in South Alabama, to make sure traffic is flowing smoothly. If there's accidents anywhere, to clear those accidents immediately. If you have trouble on the interstate, anything at all, you can dial star HP, that's star 47 on your cell phone, and that call goes directly to the closest trooper post. When you call that, they will dispatch someone to you immediately to assist you in any way you need. But we have all available troopers out to make sure that that traffic is moving smoothly and flowing smoothly. And please remember, if you must drive in inclement weather times like this, if you must drive, please remember, if you see standing water, not to go through it. You don't know how deep it is. You don't know if there's power lines down. You don't know what's there. Go around it, go another way. But if you must drive, please drive with caution. And please remember, star HP, star 47, if you need assistance at all from a trooper or any local police or sheriff's department. Thank you very much. At this time, I'll turn it over to Alabama Department of Transportation Deputy Director George Connor. Thank you.
My name is George Connor, Deputy Director for Operations at Alabama DOT. Summary of our current status: the Bankhead Tunnel in Mobile is closed. We anticipate later today having to close Dauphin Island Parkway, Alabama 193, and the Causeway, US 90, due to rising waters, and anticipate later today the closing of the Welcome Centers on I-10. Current road conditions and weather advisories that relate to transportation are being posted to algotraffic.com. It's ALGO traffic.com. algotraffic, all one word, .com. And as previously stated, we request your assistance through the media in getting that source of information out and helping us promote that. It is the best place to get information about the condition of travelway on the state system. Our regional traffic management centers are open and operating through this period of the storm. Debris removal contractors and our own forces are on standby to respond in the aftermath. Would like to leave you, though, with 4 very important thoughts. Number 1, I echo Secretary Taylor: do not drive into water. Do not drive into standing water. You have no idea how deep it is or what's beneath the surface. It is better to be late or not make where you have to go. Do not drive into standing water. Secondly, be alert for responders, for law enforcement, for DOT and county engineer crews that are out and municipal crews that are out responding. They're going to be focused on restoring power, on removing limbs, and getting things back in operation. They will not be as alert as they may normally be. We need your assistance. Be alert for them and pay attention. Ask you to pay attention to all travel and weather info through all sources. And lastly, the roads that are closed are change rapidly, both closing and reopening based on changing weather conditions. Again, please refer to algotraffic.com for the latest on the status of our state highway system. Thank you very much.